warm welcome to today's edition of Money Moves. I am Melissa Enoch here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
I am Grace Agbaragu. We thank you all for joining us on the show. It's Thursday, the 2nd of July.
All right, let's tee off with the news now. The Central Bank of Nigeria has been named the 2026 Central Bank of the Year by Central Banking Publications in recognition of its monetary, foreign exchange, and governance reforms. Olayemi Cardoso says the award reflects the collective efforts of the bank's leadership and staff in strengthening institutional credibility, restoring investor confidence, and promoting macroeconomic stability. The award was presented at an event in London recently. Let's listen to some excerpts.
I accept this award on behalf of the board, management, and staff of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Above all, it belongs to the many dedicated professionals who serve our institution with integrity, expertise, and an unwavering commitment to the public good. Much of their work takes place away from the spotlight. Yet, it is their diligence and professionalism that has helped strengthen our institution and support the stability of Nigeria's economy. The past few years has presented central banks everywhere with extraordinary challenges, and Nigeria has been no exception. Our journey has required extremely difficult decisions.
In earnings news, Awash Bank has reported earnings of 40.7 billion birr for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2026, as foreign currency holdings rose to $2.65 billion following Ethiopia's foreign exchange reforms and stronger FX mobilization. Deposits increased by 41% to 467.8 billion birr, marking the bank's strongest annual deposit growth on record, while total assets reached 622 billion birr. Paid-up capital also rose 38% to 38.5 billion birr. Revenue climbed to 85.37 billion birr against expenses of 44.62 billion birr, with pre-tax profit rising by 11.8 billion birr compared with the previous year. In Nigeria, the AFCFTA Digital Trade Forum 2026 has heard progress reports from member states on the implementation of digital trade across the continent. Alpha Sese and Pierre Laporte outlined their country's efforts to advance digital commerce, improve cross-border trade, and support the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area Digital Trade Protocol. Let's take some excerpts.
And we simplify the process of registering them. And in the process of doing that, we also provide access to finance, because that's key. We created a government program which we call Munafa, which will provide, I will not call it loans, but will provide funds primarily for women. And the interest rate is about, loans about 5% interest rate. It's very, very low, very, very low. And shockingly, the success rate has been 60%, the repayment rate. So, whatever we generated, we get government to provide additional funds so we're able to provide, so that more women and youth are able to have access to the funds. There were also access funds for the AFDB, about $4 million, and primarily for youth and women, our SMEs. Again, this was part of the informalization side. Once they become informal, once we move them from the informal state to being formal, they're able to meet the minimum requirements for them to access these funds. So that has happened.
Yes.
Then, in addition, we also had access to funds from, is it Access Bank? Yes, Access Bank, which is about $10 million. Again, this is focused on our productive sectors, especially women in agriculture, women in the industry, to provide, funds for them. And all of this as a ministry, with support from the AFC, FTA, the World Bank and ADB, we've also provided lots of training across the board.
An old aging population, and then on the other hand, we have a stock of youth that is facing various challenges. Okay, we are lucky to be a country with the highest level of literacy and health indicators in Africa, but we face challenges to the youth. I think, like other countries, we need to continue to find ways to empower the youth, to bring them the kind of opportunities that I've seen. As much as we are more developed than some countries in Africa, I've seen other places where Africa is more advanced. I mean, mainland Africa is more advanced as Seychelles, and we have areas to learn also. Like I mentioned, incubators we have seen in different countries where I've worked, magnificent things that can be done if you give the youth the opportunities, the resources to do it. So we have lessons to learn, and wherever you go, at the end of the day, youth is the future. Youth, you give them hope, you give them opportunities. Same with women. We need to continue to empower women.
In the meantime, Sunbird Tourism reported a 17% increase in profit after tax to 12.5 billion Malawian kwacha for 2025, driven by strong revenue growth and higher demand for conferences, events, and catering services. Revenue rose 31% to 71.7 billion Malawian kwacha, with the company attributing the performance to disciplined cost management, revenue expansion initiatives, and continued investment in its hotel properties. The Malawian Hotel Group declared a total dividend of 3.75 billion Malawian kwacha, equivalent to 14.34 Malawian kwacha per share, comprising an interim dividend of 2.80 Malawian kwacha per share and a final dividend of 11.5 Malawian kwacha per share. Now, finally, on News Now for today, the 13th edition of the African Securities Exchanges Association Building African Financial Markets Forum has entered its second day with a focus on deepening Africa's capital markets. Participants are reviewing strategies to strengthen market liquidity, attract investment, and enhance cross-border market integration to support sustainable economic growth across the continent. Let's listen.
We do this with a team of 750 professionals serving more than 250 customers in over 20 countries. And the best thing about this whole thing is that when we deliver this infrastructure to people, the structure is based on guarantees and confidence that comes through our certifications and our standards. So when the customer receives their product, they understand where it's coming from. There are frameworks that make sure that you get a quality product. You don't have to worry about what's being used. CMMI Level 3 ready software, ISO certifications for security and all of that. Now, what I'd like you to see in the next slide is our pattern. So as you can see, we are in Africa, we're in the Middle East, we're in Asia, and that is just a way, if you look, I'm going to look at this again. What we see here is that we have various different markets, which are all very nuanced, very technically different. So in some places we have very thin liquidity. In some cases we have regulatory overhauls that are happening in real time. We manage all of that. We work with our clients through all of that. And that's where we have basically made our footprint. Now, we look at our product suite. I am not doing well here. Okay, so that's our capital markets product suite. We're looking at Infinium, we're looking at Capizar, we're looking at Marlin, we're looking at SwiftTrade. Infinium and Capizar are basically our major products. And then we have Marlin, which is for our brokers, for the front and the back office for the brokers. And then we have SwiftTrade, which is basically the mobile application that sits on top of all of this.
Welcome back to Money Moves. Thanks for staying with us. Let's now go over to Grace for today's market reports. Hello there again, Grace.
Thank you, Melissa. Let's take a look at how the markets are trading today, starting off with the equities. The NGX All-Share Index is trading on the negative by 0.29%, while the BRVM in Abidjan has gained 0.68%. The Nairobi Securities Exchange, same figure as at yesterday. In Southern Africa, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange advanced 0.45%, while Mauritius Segdex edged up 0.12%. Zimbabwe ZSE gained 1.58% to 424.41. In North Africa, Morocco's MASI rose 0.46%, while Egypt's EGX 30 gained 0.09% to 50,532.70 as at 12:33 GMT. Finally, let's take a look at the energy commodities. Brent crude declined 1.69% to $70.36, while US WTI fell 2% to $67.21. Natural gas dropped 1.55% to $3.17, while Arabian gasoline declined 1.90% to $2.88. And that's it, all Money Moves markets today. Back to you, Melissa.
Grace, thank you very much for those market updates. And that's it on today's edition of Money Moves. From all of us here at the FMDQ studios, we say thank you very much for watching and bye for now.